Yeah. hmm I was just reading the statement of Jeff Sessions, U.S. Senator from the state of Alabama. Yeah. Isn't this the same Jeff Sessions that was the Attorney General of the United States of America? Yes. The same Department of Justice where I've emailed thousands upon thousands of times that my civil rights are being violated? Yes. Could you call them for me? Because um, I noticed that there's quite a few that think this was about civil rights. Yeah. Now, it mentions here the facts set out in several recent reports show hate crimes and hate groups are growing nationwide. Yeah. The Leadership Conference for Civil Rights just released a report on hate crimes that found that the number of hate crimes reported has consistently ranged from around 7,500 or more annually. Yes. Could you get me all the members that have went to all the leadership conferences for civil rights? Yes. Now, this concept of saying somebody's mentally ill as a sheriff, yes, where I send you the information that I was not given in due process, the petitioner didn't sign it, yes, and you issued it for 10 years. You use forgery, yeah, misrepresentation, you violate state laws, yes, and then you say it's not a civil rights violation. A recent report from the Southern Poverty Law Center found that hate groups have increased by 50% since 2000. Yeah. Could you get me all the members of the Southern Poverty Law Center? Yeah. Now, each and every individual that has knowledge of civil rights violations, yes. I know that when Jeff Sessions was the Attorney General for the Department of Justice and I was emailing them almost every day, he probably never thought that every employee could go to prison for 10 years, yes, in the Department of Justice. But you can. Oh, attorneys for the Department of Justice. Now, the same individual that sponsored this legislation to be a co-sponsor, yeah, of the Matthew Shepard Hate Crime Prevention Act of 2009, it's bipartisan, yeah. Federal prosecutors to move in and to focus the attention and resources of the federal government. We work closely with the Justice Department to ensure that we're advancing a bill that's fair and constitutional and effective in cracking down on brutal acts of hate-based violence. Now, I mentioned the violence, the intimidation, and the abuse of turning the electricity off on me in the middle of winter. Yes. The violence, the intimidation, the abuse of arresting me for crimes I didn't commit. Because I wasn't in Sequim, Washington. I was in Port Angeles that morning, and you could have went to the Serenity House and gotten a copy of the sign-in sheet where I signed in on December 30th of 2015. Yeah, could have got the bus surveillance camera footage. Pooch. I gave you a photocopy of the screen print from 4:48 p.m. on December 31st of 2015. Yeah, where I emailed from the Port Angeles library, and if I'm in Port Angeles on the bus that morning or in the library, I couldn't have been in swim. Now, you decided to prosecute me right now for violating this. Yes. Because of this. Yes. Because of that. Yes. Because of this. Had actual notice and an opportunity to be heard. Because of that. Ouch. 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 Because of this. Poop. 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 Now, this Matthew Shepard law. Yes. See, when you served me in the Sweden Public Library by a person that was harassing, intimidating, and humiliating to me, that wasn't a sheriff and informed all the library patrons that I've been served. Yes. And then you serve somebody other than myself? Ouch. And then you reissue this without my wife acknowledging it? Poop, 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 poop. And you arrest me? And then you say that I'm mentally ill? Yes. You put me in jail for 27 days. You let me out. You issue dissolutions of marriage where there's no actual due process. There's no civil rights. You arrest me? Yes. When you are talking about me in a court case? Yes. Or a courtroom? Yes. Or either the prosecuting attorney or the public defender decided to violate my right to attorney-client privilege. You're sure it's not a civil rights violation? You're sure, Judge? Because as I have read this, yes, well, at least a good portion of it, yeah, would strengthen jurisdiction over hate crimes and support. Yeah. Now, mention this because her husband was at the Holocaust. I welcome Janet Langhart. Oh, somebody that had to say something about this. Yes. Honorable Jeff Sessions, U.S. Senator. Yes. Could you call Jeff Sessions and if he remembers co-sponsoring this? Yeah. Let me just say the way I analyze it. The original Civil Rights Act that protected people in the carrying out of their civil rights duties and protected them from attack because of the race was based on a demonstrated need. There was indeed, I'm sad to say, a situation in significant parts of our country where African Americans were not protected. Well, it was easy to demonstrate there was a double standard of justice and they were not being protected. Now, if you read through robberies, assaults, larceny, embezzlement, kidnapping, oh, really, Sheriff, I'm mentally ill for understanding what the law says. Ooh, Honorable Eric Holder, Attorney General of the U.S. Department. You know, I emailed his law firm. Could you call Eric Holder? Yes. After he got done being the Attorney General during the Obama administration, I'm sure I'm going to sue him for having knowledge of, well, cooperating in and inclusion in violating the Matthew Shepard Hate Crime Prevention Act of 2009. Now he'd say, well, you don't get any punitive damages for that. There's a collateral loss rule. Oh, President Obama strongly supports this bill. The President and I seek swift passage of this legislation because of hate crime victimization of not only individuals but entire communities. Clallam County, Jefferson County, King County, Spokane County. The time is now to provide our federal, state, local, and tribal law enforcement officers with the tools that they need to effectively prosecute and deter these heinous crimes, outrageous conduct on the part of the police department. The time is now to provide justice to victims of bias-motivated violence and to redouble our efforts to protect our communities from violence based on bigotry and prejudice. Now, nobody's prejudicial towards me. I'm a white heterosexual